Is this the new?
Mhm. What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show all about the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champion's coolest campaigns and characters. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games, or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the cool Idle Champions lore you need to know about. If you're here in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will read later in the show. But until then, Erin and B. Dave, take it away.
So I would just like y'all to know a series of delightful things happened in like the last 5 minutes. We completely changed the plan of what we were doing. Catastrophic technical failures, wardrobe changes, and in the midst of all of it, I just want you to know, Erin has stayed the consummate professional. Hey, B. Dave Walters, I say words about things. I nerd out about this stuff for a living. Happy to be here. I adventure with Beadland Grimm on occasion. I play freely on Silver and Steel for D&D Beyond. I'm the Dungeon Master of Dungeons and Dragons and Dark and Wish, and you can find me anywhere fine streaming content is available. Oh, and also I kind of wrote the book Dungeons and Dragons and Dark and Wish. I did that too.
Just a little thing.
Just a couple things. I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms with tiefling twins fighting the powers of the Nine Hells. I was also a longtime editor for Forgotten Realms, and I play Cecilia in the Dungeon Scrawlers on Wednesdays at 6:30 on Twitch.
As one does. So today we will be journeying here to the frozen north of Icewind Dale. Both this weekend, next week. I think we're going to be like chilling up in the north because there might be, I don't know, like relevant stuff happening in Idle Champions.
Who knows?
Just a little bit.
I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, also, for those of you who don't know me, I'm infamous, notorious, dare I say remorseless for busting out producers in real time on camera. So also, could we have the link to the questions there also, so we can like, you know, because I could either type it while we're talking and be like, or I could just say it.
Well,
I could just say it.
I put the link in there.
Right?
It is in there.
Is it? I don't see
There
it.
it is again.
It's up top.
It was buried.
But
It
to
was
be
buried.
fair,
Hey, to his
it did
credit.
get roll buried in a combination of Zencaster links and also links to YouTube videos of Death Clock.
I mean,
That's how we roll.
all of those things
You wanted
are
to get
true, by the way.
That cold metal kind of vibe that Icewind Dale brings.
Can never be more brutal. Yes. So, you know, I will start out a little bit here with our nerdification of this.
Do it.
For me, my love affair with Icewind Dale began with the Dritz Duerden books. Like, even though I'd been playing the game long before that, it was Salvatore that took me up there for the first time. Like, shout out to Wolfgar, Caddy Bree, you know, all of our Wolfgar got done dirty, as did Caddy Bree. Honestly, over a long enough timeline, they all got done dirty, except Artemis and Trary, who got done less dirty. Not sure, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like almost all of them are in Idle Champions now, by the way. So that was my introduction to the Frozen North.
I think it's most people's, right? That's like, what are we up to? 35 years of Dritz at this point?
Mm-hmm.
That is I want to say that's the dream for every author, but I think it's almost beyond. It's amazing.
True.
I was saying before we started that this is why I don't have a ton of Icewind Dale lore, because when you're writing novels, you don't want everybody stepping on each other's toes. So Icewind Dale is absolutely off limits to everybody because that is Bob Salvatore's stomping ground.
Don't talk about it. Don't even think about it.
Trying to dance around your
Don't say it out
stuff.
loud.
I know. I brought the curse now to his Boston accent and come in and be like, Are you talking about me?
I mean, we summoned Ed Greenwood last week,
That's
so maybe
true.
like, can we? Yeah, we'll just put something in a circle.
I'll say
So-
notice me
No, Bob
senpai
uses
to
Twitch.
Salvatore. I'll do it.
It's true. I haven't met Salvatore, so I'm due.
It's wonderful.
I'm
Yeah.
due. Yeah. Well, two things. I feel like 35 years of Dritz would be like an awesome plumbing memoir or something. Just like. And also, I love that you're like so wonderful and charitable to these people, because I feel like if you were like, oh, that guy, let me tell you about him and his.
Let me tell you. You want me to tell you about Bob Salvatore?
Yes, please.
Bob Salvatore is an incredibly intense person, and you might think he is the scariest dude, but I will tell you a secret. He is one of the nicest people I have ever had the pleasure of working with. He is incredibly kind and wonderful to chat with, and full of wonderful like mentory writing advice. And sorry, Bob, I've spoiled your rep. He's actually a really decent dude. And passionate about his projects. Like, he knows what they are, and he knows like why people love them, and he manages to keep that going, which I think is really cool.
You know, I feel like we're gonna know when you don't like somebody, because they won't get as glowing of an introduction. You're just gonna be like, yeah, I work with him.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
Yeah, right. Mhm, yeah,
Yeah, he wrote some book for some D&D game. I don't know.
I want to make a joke that like, if I don't like somebody, they're not around anymore. But then it's gonna turn out like something terrible is gonna happen, and I'm gonna have to talk to the cops, and it's not gonna work out.
That's what listening to Death Clock with the pre-show gets you. Yeah. You're like, the people I don't like are all retired permanently.
I feel like we should almost record the pre-show, because that's its own show in itself.
It is true. There is a long process of us warming up and pre-gaming here. Although, before we dive in so too completely, here was a few of the things that have just gone up in Idle Champions. Something which is, if you've been playing, of course, you've already seen this. If you haven't been playing, what are you doing with your life?
You can literally be playing it right now.
Literally right now while we're talking. Although, again, if I could just give you a little bit of a pro tip there, you might want to deploy the Lucky Boy Freely.
Do you have a macro setup for that? That it's the freely button?
I'm just fast. That's all. All my buttons are freely buttons. Yeah. And yeah, hey, he saved Grimm's life on Friday, so he's never gonna live that down.
No big deal. Well,
no big deal.
Happens.
As one does. There you go. But yes, some of the new creatures that I know. The one that, not gonna lie, I was the most excited about when this came out with Auril the Frostmaiden was the snowy owlbears.
Those are so cool.
It's like super adorable. It is super adorable. And I've always had like a weird relationship with owlbears. I feel like most people kind of do, because it is like simultaneously the most improbable and yet like the most rational creature. I think I'm kind of like this. Yeah.
It's sort of the pinnacle of a wizard did it, right? Because like on the one hand, it makes like that would not happen in nature. I don't think it's possible to happen in nature. But at the same time, someone going, what two things could I mix together?
Yeah, I love the idea of a wizard sitting there with an owl and a baby bear and just being like, owl, bear. Owl,
an owl,
bear.
A baby bear, and a lot of tequila. Yeah. Yeah. Then you're just like, hear me out.
Gonna make this work.
Hear me out. You're like, will it fly? No.
Don't be ridiculous.
Why would I do that? Which I feel like greatly inhibits the owl contribution to the equation. Like, I feel like it's like demonstrably reduced to take away a bear killing head and give an owl killing head, but take away the wings. And you're like, and yet
it's still really quiet, like an owl somehow, because its fur is like owl feathers. I don't know.
I'm going with you on this, though. Like,
I have to admit, my question about owlbears is: do they make owlbear pellets? Like, do they up the little like wads of stuff? So if they eat,
wow,
do they up the bones and treasure? Because I haven't seen that, but I feel like somebody else has to have wondered this.
See, I mean, first of all, internet, have you wondered such a thing?
Right?
Let us know.
You will now. You will now. Like 3 a.m, you could be laying there like, what has she done? I'm going to say no, because I feel like it's got a big old strong bear body, so it's got a big old strong bear digestive
But
tract.
like that's the thing. Like, what's the owl bringing to the party? Is it have a bird's digestive tract? Is it gonna make like I don't know.
I feel like
beak. It's just the beak.
I mean, clearly from a marketing standpoint, it's working for the owlbear. I mean, we're here talking about it now.
I want to point out that Starfish711 in the chat said owlbear is the end game of a bad night of potion mixing.
100%, yeah, but it didn't die. You're like, oh, okay, I guess we're here now. Yeah,
It's like a bunch of drunk wizards going like, okay, but I bet you can't make. I bet you can't make an owl and a bear into a thing.
You know, I also feel
That's
like
just a bear with a beak. That doesn't count.
I feel like it is like the little brother of whoever made like the chimera and the manticore.
Mhm.
You know, you're like, I made a lion with a dragon head, a goat head, and a snake tail. And it's like, well, I made a lion that looks like a dude with a scorpion tail. I made a bear with an owl face.
I really love this idea of wizards competing to make the weirdest creature.
Oh.
If there's one thing I know about this world is that level of pettiness exists, because I personally have participated in it. Yes. So yes, hey, snowy owlbear. There you go, snowy owlbear. And it is adorable. And it's been like the plushies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then, that artwork they did, the one just sitting down, and it just looks like it's just had the roughest day. I just want to give it a hug. I love it.
It's true. We had polar bears. So these were all new to Idle champions, not necessarily new to D&D, but they were all new to Idle champions. Snowy owlbears, polar bears, frosty goblins, frosty satyrs, frosty giant rats.
Stay frosty, rats.
Stay frosty, my rats. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's I wish they need to, because clearly like adventurers are coming to fight with them. So, you know, the ice troll, there's Avarice, the NPC. I always love, especially Erin, you know, writer to writer, Erin. I always love when you can do things like that, when you can just take like a word or a concept and slap it on an NPC and suddenly they seem all edgy like that. You know, it's like, oh, it's Avarice.
I like it too. Like it's an established like tiefling naming convention. So you can just be like, this one's gonna be like this. This one is Temerity. She's gonna be like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to have like a tiefling necromancer, and no. I want to have a tiefling summoner and call them Jello shots, and all they do is summon oozes.
Brian, I keep screwing up his name even when I'm reading in my
Brian Cortijo.
Cortijo. I keep screwing up in my
Game
head.
Designer.
He says, how about frozen ROUSs?
Just rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist. You know,
go out into Icewind Dale and find out.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah, they're roughly approaching from the right, by the way. Just keep looking that way. You'll see them coming. Yeah. Now I literally just showed The Princess Bride to someone for the first time about a month ago. They'd never seen it.
Whoa.
2 things. 1, it holds up very well. 2, I'd completely forgotten that right before he tells her, I don't think they exist, he looked right at them.
Right? What is that?
Like he looks right at them.
It's just Carrie Ells. He does what he does.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
You're crazy, baby. Like, what?
He's trying to be comforting. He's not trying to make her feel crazy. He's like, no, that's not a thing. We're just gonna.
I mean, if we also take in the whole part where he's like being a jerk in a mask. Although at the same time, how did you not recognize him?
I mean,
but it's okay. These are the things we set aside because it's a good story.
It's worked on Lois Lane for 50 years. So
also questions about, well, I don't know. I have questions about that, but then you see that picture on the internet of Zooey Deschanel without her glasses and bangs, and you're like, who is that?
Yeah, that could be anybody. Yeah, that could be anybody. You know, that's interesting because I read that is a trope that, to my knowledge, has not been overly explored in in D&D, which is interesting because Aurl in her first form was one of the people that showed up last week also. Why would she require multiple forms? Oh no. Hey, there you go. I mean, come on. First of all, if that came rolling out of the frost to like looking at me, by the way, I mean, besides the fact that I hate the cold, but if that was just like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm on her side, by the way. Like, if that with the cover, the way Aurl looks there, I'm like, no, I mean, you've persuaded me. Yeah, but
I'm kind of like, why has she not always looked like that? That's amazing.
it's true. That's why she's the star of the show now. She just needed a glam over. That was she got a glow up. She got a glow up. Yeah. but I was saying that as far as I know, I can't recall any time in D&D that you had that Clark Kent Superman swap. I mean, there's been plenty of times somebody was literally magically someone else, but not the like I'm a hero or an adventurer or something and like nobody knows who I am, because for the most part, I guess your identity is your legend. Like that's so firmly interwoven.
I think you see bits of it, especially when they start doing weird stuff with gods, because the gods will be like, nah, I'm this guy to get my thing done. And I'm just trying to think of specific examples, and I bet the chat will be faster at it.
Also, well, because the chat has Google, yes. And all that,
that's true. We have to be paying attention.
That is true.
Speaking of the chat, Jason Olet, I think that's how you say your name. Like I said, I'm going to get a lot of names wrong. I apologize now in advance, chat. This is going back to the RUS, you know what I mean. What would constitute an unusual size for a rodent in the Forgotten Realms? Like 3 inches long?
I feel like, yeah, right, because like you have dire rats and stuff, right? Those are huge.
I mean,
so it's probably more like, what the hell is this? It's
They're everywhere.
it's like a miniature dire rat.
2 things. Weird Stuff with God should be the name of your autobiography.
I love it.
And I feel like the scale is still relative. I mean, just because you've got a sword in your hand doesn't make you less horrified by a rat the size of a German Shepherd, you know? So,
True.
yeah. Which is apparently, you know, an endless scourge. Many an adventurer has gotten their start from a tavern keep being like, go down there and get rid of those rats. I'm like,
I feel like because of like how it was in Princess Bride, where they were just bigger rats, you'd have to just step up your game in the Forgotten Realms. So now we've got Rat Bear. We've gone to Owl Bear. Now we got Rat Bear.
Rat Bear, you know, it's
Just how many things can you combine with it?
Yeah, it's this rat that's just hulked out with giant muscles, just walks up.
which again, you know, running through my mind of like how many times like a lion has been used as like the base model for the creature. Like you would think you'd see more bears.
So you know Wemmicks? Oh, you're saying they do it. I was like, oh no, I know one that's fun. I love Wemmicks. They're fascinating.
No, wait, what? Say that again.
Wemmicks?
What is
I
a
think
Wemmicks?
I'm saying it right. It's sort of like a centaur, but it's a lion on the bottom, and it has like a lion-y face. But
Oh
it has a
yeah. I played one of those things.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, in times long past, back when So okay, first of all, y'all that have watched me play, I am an avowed min-maxer. I know what you're thinking. How can I be a min-maxer when Freely's got 4 classes? And the answer is because I'm good at it. And but
His humble score is also through the roof.
There's no one anywhere more humble than I am. That's all I can say. Yes, right. But I mean, like my first character ever was a elven fighter mage thief that was based on Vampire Hunter D, which those of you that played 2nd edition know that was a long freaking climb. But I think my second character was one of those, because you know, same thing, you know, man, you're like 14, you're like, I'm gonna have like the lower half of a lion but like the top half of a man, and I'll carry like a broadsword, but I'll still be able to fight with my lion claws. Yeah.
Halfling rogue can ride on my back.
Exactly. With a bow and arrow. We will be in orbital combat platform. We'll be so cool.
And whatever's fun.
Apparently it worked out. Then there also was Aurl's Rock, the giant white rock. And Blink Dogs, which were all new to Idle Champions. Then there was a Worm Dragon or White Dragon Wormlings, Frost Giants, Winter Wolves, Ice Mephits, the Winter Ladrin, Bandits, Axe Beaks, Hares, and Rabbits, the Scourge of the Icewind Dale, and one rabbit with a pixie riding it. Here's the thing. It's the pixie rabbit, you guys. You know? open your eyes, man. You know, like teach the controversy. The pixie rabbit is the one you got to be worried about.
Can I tell you a funny fact I learned? Well, I think it's funny. It's a fact I learned about ice giants.
I like where this is headed.
So there are one of two types of giants where true lycanthropy can occur, and they turn into polar bears. So
what?
Right?
That's how you get that Aurl on the cover of the Frostmaiden. That's where that comes from.
Hey, my D&D groups, I'm not taking notes.
Right.
So the thing I love about this too is, okay, so you have this frost giant. It's a polar bear, we'll call it. The problem is the other frost giants are like, that skin seems excellent. Giant polar bear skin, mine. So they have to all live alone because all the other frost giants will hunt them so they can take their polar bear skin.
There's so much to unpack there.
That's a whole episode in itself.
That's just I'm like, well, pour yourself some ale, folks.
Ooh, actually,
we're taking a detour. Yes.
Pancakes 337's got the question: do they shrink to be a bear size?
So to be fair, I could not before the show track down the original the primary source, so unclear.
Okay.
But the way it was phrased made me think they might be giant polar bears, because otherwise, like, the idea that the frost giants are like, I want that one, seems really odd. Like, I could see going, I would like a polar bear that is the size of me.
I'm also thinking about that like half bear, half giant form. It's just
apparently they don't have that.
Okay.
But if you wanted to put it in your game, you
I might.
like, this one's a weirdo.
Again, so much is happening all at once here in my noodle. Contextually, yes, I'm gonna say they have to become freaky gigantic bears. Or to your point, why would the other frost giants,
Right?
be excited? Second of all, what does it say about frost giants that you're like, oh, that dude has everything I've got and is also a bear, and therefore I must destroy him? You know, like, I mean, it's like,
it says they need more sources of rugs, I think.
I mean, it's cold up there, man, and I feel, but see, here's the flaw with that thinking is you're a frost giant, so we always show them like covered in furs and everything, like for warmth. I'm like, for what? Like, you're made out of ice, man. Like, they should be like rolling around like Conan the Barbarian, like, just like bare chested.
Balmy -20.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, that very much seems something that was born out of just somebody pissed off the DM. That's what that is. It's like, you know what? It's a frost giant that's also a werewolf. There's not wolves up here. It's a polar bear. It's a polar bear.
Yeah.
Which the other wares in this like always freak me out too. When instead of like the werewolves, the wolf wares and stuff, they were like reversed. Like, it was like more it was, what are they? The wolf wares weren't they like more human?
I don't know this one.
Yeah. It was another variant of lycanthropy. They were like lesser werewolves, essentially. I don't know. They're just like really hairy dudes. They're from like Jersey.
My character in Dungeons Scrollers is half Lithari, which is the it's a werewolf elf, but every time she calls it a werewolf elf, someone explains to her that were means human, so no. But they are they are also in the frozen north, but in a different side of the continent.
Again, not touching Bob's area.
Yes.
I mean, which is just good life advice, by the way. Yeah. But it's, I appreciate. You said it's not that because that's just a human. Could you imagine an elf that got bitten by a person and freaked out and just turned into a dude? Like, you're all just like glamorous, and you're like, I fear that I'm losing my composure.
And then you just become Joe Schmo, like you just grow a gut.
Why am I so tired and everything hurts?
Apparently this is what middle age feels like. Yeah, right. That would be a true curse. Same with the giant. If you got bitten by a polar bear, but like turned into like a little polar bear, then that would be a. But can you imagine how big that really would be? By the way, because a real polar bear is like 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's very large.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the giant polar bear is proportional to the giant. Like, if a polar bear is the size of a polar bear, like a human to a polar bear is a frost giant to a polar bear. Are they that big?
Because I feel like we'd heard about this
Crazy.
by now if there was like
See, but now
22,000-pound polar bears, but maybe no one's
I mean,
checked.
well, so
We need
this
to
is the
ask
thing.
Bob.
Right? There's these things that pop up, and there's like, it's like, okay, this is another one that I found that is less exciting than the polar bear, I'll be honest. But it also go, what? There is a dragon article from back in the day, which says ice giants have bolas, like the string with the two bola, they're made of ice, but that they adapted these from Zakaran jungle giants. And Zakara is a totally different continent. And I'm so curious how this happened. What is the story of the cross-cultural connection between Zakaran jungle giants and frost giants? Like,
And that's what they took from the crossover, and not the idea that like you don't have to live in a frozen wasteland. You know, that's true.
Right?
Although most of
what did the Zakaran jungle giants take? I
Uh,
hope it's refrigeration. That's my deep
ice
wish.
cubes. That's what they took. They took ice
Like-
cubes.
Like, whoa. You can't freeze food and it will last longer?
You're right. That does fill me with more questions than answers. Honestly,
Right?
there's
Again, it was
there's
like
a
an old
good
dragon article. I couldn't get an issue of it, but
there's
maybe
a good
it
point in the chat, and I apologize. I know who this is, and I follow you on Twitter, and I never know how to pronounce your name, and I'm gonna probably screw it up, and I apologize. Oboe Lauren?
Oboe.
That's Oboe
like the-
Lauren.
Oboe Lauren. I'm
Hey.
sorry.
Instrument.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now you know.
Okay, first of all, hang on. Excuse me. That is Lauren, friend to all mankind.
I know.
A staple of streams everywhere. My own adventuring mate, or Kira, on Silver and Steel. Thank you, Lauren.
So Lauren says, frost giants hunt were-penguins to make formal clothing.
Same thing. Is a were-penguin just a really well-dressed dude? You know, he's like out on the ice.
Become a weird penguin by being bitten by a lycanthropic tuxedo.
You get pricked during fitting. You're like, yeah, it's in my blood. Yeah, right. So I do want to say one more thing about the new releases. I say new releases; they came out on the 14th, so they've been out for a couple of days now. But Aurl's rock, the white rock, like that's really neat to me. The idea of this like massive snowy death dealer. But again, Aurl picked a rock and not a giant owl. Like again, I feel like that there's branding options. Like we're not. We need to workshop what's happening. this part of the world.
Excuse me,
Maybe
Frost
she's
God,
like-
your branding's not on point.
But
You know,
she's
it's like
I'm the biggest owl here. That's enough.
it's true,
like,
true.
no.
That's your,
Dominance thing.
you know, that's. It do feels like when death is imminent. You know, you're all like, your corporate branding and presentation is a little all over the place. I mean, then you were like the Frostmaiden. I wasn't even aware that was you. So.
She has so many names. Did you look this up?
It's
Cold goddess. She's Frost Kiss. She's Ice Dawn. She's the Frost Sprite Queen. She's the goddess of winter. She's the Frost Maiden, of course. For a little while, she was the queen of air and darkness, but maybe she's not. I don't know. I like that when they're like, oh, I'm gonna take on this other little spot and pretend to be someone. So I hook these people too. I like sneaky gods like that.
I mean, as we were talking about last week, though, that I mean, that is one of the joys of the lore of D&D and the Forgotten Realms and all of these places. And again, this is the point where we mentioned to you all, especially because sometimes it might seem overwhelming with all of this lore and be like, do I have to know all this? No, you don't. You don't. Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about it. We look it up. We have our nuggets of joy.
I should change the intro to.
You don't have to use it.
I should change the intro to all the lore you probably don't need to know, but it might be fun too.
I mean, now I know that there is like a cursed band of outcast were giants.
Oh yeah, why don't they band together? They should band together. Oh my god. They gotta rule.
I mean, I know what's gonna happen in my next adventure.
I want
Maelstrom.
to know everybody who does that.
Maelstrom 7737 says Auril is like Tiamat. No owl is allowed to be bigger.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that's. I mean, but she also has like ram horns. I mean, that's cool too. I mean, that rhyme.
Cool.
the Frostmaiden art is like objectively terrifying.
Oh yeah.
By the way, because I saw that concept art very early in the process before I even understood all the context of it. They were just like, "Here's the thing," and I'm like, could we not? Yeah, maybe don't.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
maybe don't.
Does she spit up owl pellets?
Oh my God.
Are they full of the dark void when she does?
That's the vibe I get.
I feel like this is how we die, Erin. I'm telling her that her marketing is sus. You ask if she spits up owl pellets, and then
I mean, I think
doom.
they'd be the best, most terrifying owl pellets. Most
Oh,
definitely.
like imagine the party getting into her lair, and it's like, all right, it's time for the big fight. She's standing up there. She looks all imposing, and then just.
And they get like the shoulder blades come up. You know? You're like, oh dear, oh
Yeah,
dear.
until that thing lands and splits open is full of ice spiders or something.
Oh, why?
Oh, I found a thing.
Okay, so this is where I like remorselessly mess with you all who are watching right now, because I have the next release for the things that are coming out, which I'm of course not going to say, but I am going to drop 3 gems into chat. I want you to look in Erin's face as she looks at the things that I'm like.
I will not.
It's
Go
yeah.
away. Go away.
Yeah.
No, go away.
Yeah.
Stop
Yep.
looking at things.
Next week we're gonna discuss.
I have comments.
A number of questions, concerns, and comments that we will save till next week. I'm just like scroll. What? Yeah. So some delightful
Yes,
gems being released on November 4th. Yeah.
I see the area of our questions forming already.
It's true. We got a preview jump on next week. Yeah. So hey, tune in next week because we have things to say about the next release. You know. But this release, why don't we talk a little bit? Well, I tell you what, actually, Treavor, do we have any questions yet, sir?
We
And
have
if
quite
so,
a few questions.
yeah, let's do so. We'll do some questions.
So let me go through here real quick and
Also,
find some
ask
good
us
ones.
your questions. People of the interwebs.
A lot of these are
Nice.
just are more riffing on what we've been talking about, and I'm here for it. Pancakes 337 once again says when polar bears is the least menacing form. This doesn't have specifically do with Icewind Dale, but I screw up your name all the time. Trontonian. There we go. Is there somewhere where we can see Freely's character sheet? I don't think he means up on camera. I just feel like online somewhere.
No, I mean, as I'm like, I use D&D Beyond. I do not have a physical character sheet for Freely. Yeah, I'm like, I'll show it to you right now. But yeah. So here's the thing, and this is true. Wait, hang on. Let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 just right now. 5 different versions of Freely I have, because every time I play him somewhere he's like something slightly different or a different level or something like that. But I'll drop my silver and steel character sheet in here. I got no secrets from my lucky boy.
While you do that,
Mhm.
also not quite related to Icewind Dale, but Eric Jordan says, question, how did you enjoy being immortalized in pancakes last week?
That was so delightful.
It was so cool.
Leah's so good.
So good.
I have to admit, I was a little like, what is this gonna look like? Like, pancake batter doesn't seem like it's the most flexible medium. but he did it. I was like, it does look like me, and that does look like B-Dave, and that does look like Treavor. And
It's
that
wild.
looks like as well.
It's
I don't know the
wild.
other people, but I think it's
Yeah, I literally said earlier this year, before all of this was even a possibility, I tweeted out, I now have a life goal of being immortalized as a pancake by Lee Goldberg. And hey, it happened.
Started from the bottom, now we're here, you know. I will tell you, it's wild, because the first time I saw him do it, I didn't know what was happening. And you know, when he draws it all out, he flips it. You see it, so he actually like makes the inverse.
Mhm.
And there's been 2 things in my life that I didn't know I needed as badly as I did. One was having a cat named after me.
Oh.
2, being a pancake. Like when I was like,
that's me.
what else is there? You know, it's like he wept for there were no more worlds to conquer. You know, yeah. Well, thank you for that, Lee.
I remember when I saw that was going to be a show. I'm just like, that is the most brilliantly random show I've ever heard of, and I love it. It's so
Nothing
good.
like it.
Yeah,
it's true.
There's,
and
like, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's one of those things like my author friends and I joke about playing author bingo. And so because everybody's like floating around in this imposter syndrome. So it's like, well, when I, finish a book, I'll be a real author. When I publish a book, I'll be a real author. And then it starts to get weird, right? It's like when I see cosplay of a character, then I'll be a real author. When I find fan fiction, I'll be a real author. When I find fan fiction that's between two characters who have no interest in each other and also they are princesses or something, then I'll be a real author. And this is one where I was like, I didn't even know this bingo square existed. But it feels like a bingo square. When I have a pancake made of my face, I will be a real author.
You know what? I'll sweeten the pot when you have people tune in to watch someone make a pancake of your face. You've made it. Congratulations.
And then have that person take a bite of you as a pancake. That was one I didn't expect.
But it's true. Yeah. That's how he absorbs your power. He's a pancake master.
Oh no, is that what happened?
Exactly. Lee's been making phylacteries of all of us this entire time. You know,
the pancake lich.
He's the final boss.
Lee, if you're watching, I want your Twitter handle to be the pancake lich until Halloween.
It's true. At least put it in the bio. Verified.
I will do a small shameless plug. I'm actually going to have Lee on difficulty class in a couple weeks, so we're going to talk about some pancake goodness.
Hey, yeah. He is such a nice boy.
He's such a nice boy.
He is. It's true. He making his mama proud. Yeah.
So Allybug321 says, I'd love to get an official count of the monster manual with how many things were created because the DM just was done and threw it in there.
You know, especially when you go back to second edition, which again, this is when I get on my obligatory. Back in my day, a wizard had 1d4 hit points and one spell to last you the entire day, and you had no armor and you leveled slower. And all of these things are true, by the way. If you've never played second edition, it was a different time. It was a different time.
I really hope Old Man Walters continues to appear in the show weekly.
Always, at least once he's got to come up. And there are a number of things in the old game that you can clear were born expressly out of hatred. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In third edition, there were so many monster manuals. By the time you get to 5, it's sort of like, what sticks to the wall? What do we have? Right? I don't think I still have that book.
Yeah, you're like, it's that thing that you fought before, but now it's on fire.
Yes. Now it's all on fire and it's undead. And it has rainbow wings.
True. I mean, especially when with the monster templates. It's sometime later, not right now. Google 3.5 Ultimate Tarrasque, kids, where people just stacked every possible monster template on the Tarrasque. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this one's loosely tied to Icewind Dale, but I think is a pretty good question. Omega Sparkle says, so in my group's Icewind Dale campaign, I'm running a Tabaxi follower of the Cat Lord. Info on the Cat Lord is super conflicting and scattered. Any advice on his 5th edition lore? Not super Icewind Dale related, really. Sorry. You're fine. It's a good question.
I don't know this one.
Oh.
I don't know who the Cat Lord is. Do you know?
Have you ever heard of the Cat Lord?
No. I was like,
we're gonna say Google.
I was about to say, I'm like, the camera pans to me as I'm like feverishly Googling over here.
See, no, look, literally, this is how scattered the lore is, Omega Sparkle. We're not helping you out on this one.
I just pulled up the Cat Lord wiki right now. I'm gonna drop this here in the Zoom chat for you. And I literally had the Squidward moment of, oh no, he's hot. No, I don't know. I don't even. It's not.
Oh wow!
I was like, maybe I know him by a different name. No,
he has
I don't.
Quite a lot of cheekbones.
He's got a lot of cheekbones.
There's a lot of cheekbone.
I will say, Omega Sparrow, if you haven't checked out the Forgotten Realms wiki, there is quite a bit on here.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a good spot for you to check out. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, I understand the dang it, he's pretty thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, like he super looks. I mean, like you can tell that's very much like vampire edgelord, but he's a cat lord. Well, and I will say also that a lot of the things, even that like Erin and I were talking about this a lot. That the gods have kind of ascended or descended over time, but for the most part, most of the things about like what they're like is like been relatively fixed. I think like so much so if you read some of the older supplements.
I think it's neat because like the core of them is sort of fixed, but then what do you need them to do for your game? Because so much of what a person's interaction with the god has to do with the way they worship and sort of what is this on the ground bit. So it kind of doesn't matter at some point what the cat lord's ultimate goals are. Like, what is your relationship to that god, right? What's like that? I see he made a deal with Malar, the beast lord. Maybe that doesn't affect you at all. And so figuring out like, what do you need out of this piece of lore is a 100% excellent question to ask.
Yeah,
I think I mentioned to you all before, I've been blessed to play so much of this game that at this point it's like my character concepts evolve around like, what have I not done? And and it's funny because I see like a cat lord. It's like, I'm a tabaxi that worships the cat lord. What immediately popped into my mind is I'm like, I would play a Knoll paladin warlock of the cat god, just like a dog person that lives in service to cats, because yeah, that's where we are now.
Omega Sparkle does cap this off with saying, I won't say his looks factored into my options.
Don't lie to yourself. We all saw his face.
Yeah. We all fell into that particular thirst trap.
I won't say if I make it to Baxi, probably gonna go check out that wiki.
It's true.
Was very good.
Just I figure we should probably talk at least a little bit about the Frostmaiden, because believe it or not, we're already entering into Act 4 here.
Let's do it.
You're right though. She does have like the best names. All of these things, like Lady Frostkiss. I have played in games where I've both been in opposition to Aurl and on the same side as Aurl. But what's always interesting to me is you were talking about when we were talking about this behind the scenes, because no matter what it might appear, we really do prepare for this and talk to each other. About like the idea of like worshiping these gods essentially to like ward off bad luck, because that was always weird to me, like the concept of like I worship an evil goddess like on purpose,
And that's a thing like too, because the mechanic that's been stated for the gods of Forgotten Realms is that they gain power from their followers. So these evil gods that have like one plan, which is like mess everybody up, like, how are they getting all these followers? But if you're the goddess of the cruel winter and the blizzard and the sort of the endless cold, people might be like, here's some presents, so you maybe don't come over here.
The song is required.
That is the traditional litany of Aurl.
It's an Aurl jingle. Yeah.
I think there's actually a lot of gods like that in the realms that work. Like, you could have like a direct worship where it's like, hey, freeze everybody, or this sort of propitiatory like apotropaic thing where it's like, leave me alone because I gave you presents.
I mean, I feel like I've used that approach with both my cats and my children, by the way. But I'm like, here you go. Here's the thing.
Well, I just got a kitten, so I'm sure I'm going to learn that.
Exactly. Here's ice cream and the iPad. I love you dearly. Yes. I'll now be over there. Yeah, because the Ascension, the D&D show I'm on for Roll For It, we just went and like had to defend Aurl's last temple in that particular world, in Inter Elysium's world. And that was a big debate of ours the whole time, that we were like, are we gonna save this temple? This like, they were like, ooh, if this temple falls, Aurl will be eradicated from this world. And we're like, okay.
But then what happens? Like, does winter go away? Because you kind of need it, right? Like,
I live in Southern California. I can verify you do not
need anything.
Same.
Well, those of us that live places where plants like need a freeze cycle to perpetuate, we kind of need a little bit. But maybe not the blizzard part. We could just pass on that part.
Yeah.
These are all don't dump a lot of snow on us in Seattle again.
But if you think about it, even like, I think this is one of those things too, that it's the mechanics have to stay level, of course, but it's like this idea that, you know, some gods love their followers and some gods don't, but it's like you still pray and get your spells. Like it would be really interesting to like see that flavored somehow.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, please.
I was gonna say one of my favorites is actually Shar, who is the goddess of loss. She's sort of the dark complement of the moon. And what I think is really neat is that she's a greater goddess, like, or she has been like very powerful. And in a lot of stories, she's sort of like the world ender. She wants to eat the universe kind of thing. And so how does a god get that much power when their thing is not what most people want? But being that she's also the goddess of loss, like this makes sense. And I put it in my book, so now it's canon at least a little bit, that you worship her when you are feeling great grief, when you are in a place of loss. And so here is this like, help me through the darkness and let me out the other side kind of worship, right? It's the goddess of depression kind of. And so this idea that like they have these smaller spheres where their talents are needed. Help me survive the winter, help me get across the rough ocean, Umberly, take some pearls and don't sink my ship, or let my ship stay together. That acknowledges that there are hard things in the world that do not care about you, and sort of forms this structure around them. And I think that's neat. I like playing with that.
See, that's when I like get super deep dive nerdy into this, because you know a lot of this mythos was rooted in real world beliefs. You know, I mean, many of these deities like have you know, were exist as divinities in religious systems, some of which continue to this day, which is wild to think that literally was some people's approach to things, where they were like, hey, Poseidon, sweetie, boobala, just
you have much better things to do than sink this ship, right?
Poseidon's like, but do I? It's a question you gotta ask yourself, but
Did you or did you not make him look stupid at the Trojan War?
And went to the shore and talked mad craziness after I saved you all. Like, okay. You know, again, that's like, as a content creator on the internet, you know, we are on occasion beset by a large amount of like trolling and griminess. Most of my associates and colleagues just kind of ignore it or block people. I don't. And people are like, I just don't have time for this. I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I'll make time. So I understand Poseidon's whole thing. He's like, yeah, no, I'm the king of the seven seas. However, Odysseus, you in particular.
I love this vision of the Odyssey so much. Like, okay, troll, guess what?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I mean, well, because again,
it's exactly right.
Yeah, right. Like the dude's like, oh, beware of Greeks bearing gifts, and Poseidon's like, oh, it'd be real rough if a sea monster got you. That's terrible. And then afterwards, Odysseus being like, yay, we won with absolutely no assistance whatsoever. Yeah. And that is what happened in the Odyssey, y'all.
The wonderful thing, shifting point of view, changed the entire story.
So I guess all of that is to say this idea of the divinities as not infallible and having their own motivations and adjustments and things they could offer you, which is sometimes you're like, why would I want that? And at other times, please, I absolutely need this. Very much makes sense, especially like in a pantheon sense. But it's like I do feel like I could just imagine Umberly chilling angrily on the bottom of, you know, the plane of water, wherever, and having somebody be like, I'm in Icewind Dale. Can I have a fireball? And she's like, what? And yes, I know fireball's not on the cleric spell list, but you know who could get it on the cleric spell list?
I was gonna guess Umberly, but that's better. I like that.
True. Also Umberly. And then, you know, flavor it as ball of water. I don't know. Freezing snow. Yeah.
Boiling water.
No, freezing sphere. That's back in the day.
Aurl can do freezing sphere.
So it looks like we're coming up on the end here. Do we have a question, y'all? Chat. There's anything else you want to know? Anything else you?
Well, I'll throw you this one. Xbox Quick Mithril said, "Can Freely replace Brunor in the tutorial?"
I mean, I would just make it like a lot better if it was really in the tutorial, you know. But I mean, hey, Brunor's earned it. Okay,
It's true.
Brunor's been through some things. Yeah.
It's true. Let's see. Allybug321 says, this is in reference to the pellet thing, for Aurl. She says, you know, I hope she does. How fun would it be to come across, for what adventurers come across?
Right?
That's
It's
how they, like,
terrifying
find
and
her.
Disgusting, right? And I firmly believe they have to be wilder and more dangerous than normal owl pellets. Which are
I feel like
0% dangerous. So
yeah, the Aurl pellets have to be like contain like chunky undead, you know? Yeah. I mean, does Aurl even
and
need
ice
to?
spiders.
Yeah, just I mean, yeah, that's where they come from. See now, now something terrible. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, does Aurl even need to eat anything besides like the souls of adventurers?
I
And then
think
does
it's
she?
like. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then does she cough those up? That's all.
Coughs up
That's all.
the dead souls. Ooh.
I have to work. I like get all excited. I just start talking. Oh, we had an adventure where we had to go inside a astral dreadnought in the astral sea because they have like this whole dimension in their stomach and it ate our house. But I would firmly believe that Arl's stomach is like a portal to like an ice plane, and then she just
That's my headcanon now.
Is it Flavortown? Wait, wouldn't the portal in Arl's stomach be like just to like a refrigerator? Like it's just like a gigantic larder. There's just like rows of chewed up things.
Yep, everything she could possibly want. And also some of it comes back to life when it comes out her mouth. That's my feeling. Wrapped in bones and hair, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know where that comes from.
Well, unfortunately, because of timing, I think that's going to have to be the last question that we get in there. Erin, B-Dave, where can people find you, and what awesome things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. And again, I am playing Cecilia in Dungeon Scrawlers. That is on Twitch. Dungeon Scrawlers is the channel every Wednesday at 6:30.
And they did a cool masquerade last week. You should go check that out.
Did. You should check out the VOD. It's very ridiculous. There was Displacer Beast cheese and personality shifting cocktails and a hair golem.
Wait, hold on. Hang on a
Displacer
second.
Beast cheese? That's another episode.
It's very rare.
I have several additional questions. Like, wait. I mean, I guess you could milk a displacer beast. I mean,
There was apparently one guy who knows how to do it. He did it, and a pirate killed him and stole all the cheese. So it's very expensive.
Oh my god.
does the cheese intermittently disappear and like appear?
It.
I like the idea that there's little pieces of cheese coming up that just wiggle like little tentacles.
I mean, if you think about it, the concept of cheese in and of itself is already improbable, as is the concept of milking. Especially when you remember that cows used to be more like aurochs, which were like these horrific death-dealing machines, and
yes.
somebody still was like, "Yeah, but fondue though." Trust me. That's how I feel about like the discovery of alcohol. You know, the first person that looked at like some like rotted fetting vegetables that I presumably they were starving and they were just like down the hatch and they were like, so hear me out. I got violently ill, but yo, and then no, that's the same thing. Same thing with like milking a cow. You're like, I just displacer beast cheese. That's. You messed up my whole day with that one, Erin. I just want you to know that. Yeah. So B-Dave Walters, I say words about things. I'm gonna have a deep meditation on displacer beast cheese now. You can find me somewhere doing something 7 days a week. Tuesday, Silver and Steel at 6 Pacific, where the luckiest boy Freely makes his home on D&D Beyond Twitch. Thursday mornings is Ascension on Roll For It, where I play Gatin, the Warforged Druid Barbarian. Do a bunch of other stuff all in between. This past Friday was with Beadle and Grim over on their channel. You can catch the VOD of that. It was me, Debris and Wall, Matthew Lillard. Freely did meet and save the lives of Beadle and Grim. That is exactly what happened. Don't listen to them if they say anything other than that. Overtly, I saved their lives. Just follow me at B-Dave Walters. It's too much. I don't expect you to keep up with all of it. I barely can.
But do your best.
I literally am jumping off of here into a game and jumping off of there into a game, off of there into a meeting and then to another game. That's today, by the way. So, you know.
Well, thank you for taking time to talk about some lore with us.
No, thank you all for taking the time to talk with us. about lore. And yeah, we're do some more Icewind Dale next week. A little bit of 10 Towns, reveal the things that gave us both giggle fits in the upcoming release. It's worth it. You will really enjoy it. Trust me.
You can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast each Friday, and on Twitter at the Treavor. There's an A hiding in there. Have fun. Thank you to Jay for moderating in the chat, and thank you for Codename Entertainment for letting us talk about some D&D. Though I feel like this episode should be retitled Champions of Tangent, but we'll talk about some 10 Towns and stuff next.
Mostly lore tangents, though.
Lore tangents.
Come on.
It's the name of this episode should be Displacer Beast Cheese.
I might, when it goes up as a podcast, maybe it will. Maybe it will.
I mean, come on. If you just saw that, you're gonna click and listen. Like,
Right.
what? Especially to make it all the way to the end, and then boom, there it is.
Well, if you're live with us now, be sure to come back at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Improvised Champions. And if you're listening to us, if you're listening to this later, we'd love for you to be in the chat with us next week. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Champions out.